I had never built a department before. Not one, not a single one. No training, no manual, no consultant guiding me through it. And yet, I built and transformed six. In this video, I am going to show you the exact framework I used, step by step, department by department. So simple, a 10-year-old could follow it, because that is exactly the point. Welcome back. I am Anastasia Johnson, founder and CEO of Align Global. If you watch the previous videos, you know my story. EA to chief EA to senior manager in 8 months. Help scaling a company from 20 to over 1,000 people globally. But in that video, I told you what happened. In this video, I am telling you the how. Specifically, how I built and transformed 6 departments from absolute scratch with zero prior experience in any of them, and how the framework I used, which started on a blank piece of paper, eventually became the operating standard across the entire organization. Every single department I built and transformed, all 6 followed the same 5 steps. I did not know it was a framework at the time. I just knew I had to figure things out in a logical order every single time. Step 1, I audited the gap. What does not exist? What is broken? What is the company losing because this department is not functioning? Step 2, research the process. I had no experience in recruitment, no experience in credentialing, no experience in scheduling operations. So I researched, I read, I asked questions, and I reverse engineered how other companies would do it. And then step 3 is build the skeleton. Before hiring anyone, before documenting anything, I mapped out the basic bones of how this department would work. What are the stages? What are the decision points? What happens if the answer is yes? And what happens if the answer is no? Step 4, document everything. SOPs, workflows, step-by-step guides, so clear a 10-year-old could follow them. And this was not necessarily for me, but for the team I was about to hire. Step 5, hire and train. Bring in the people, hand them the documentation, train them on the system, keep refining the process and keep training, then step back, delegate, and let it run. 5 steps, 6 departments every single time. Most companies don't fail because they lack people. They fail because they skip this process. Now, before I walk you through each department, I want to show you something. This is a recruitment workflow. When I built this, I had never used a workflow tool in my life. Not once, not ever. What I did was I sat down with a blank piece of paper and a pencil, and I started drawing. I visualized the entire process in my head first. Every stage, every decision point, every if this happens, we go here. If this does not happen, we go there. I mapped it out like a roadmap with every possible turn accounted for. And then I did something. I taught myself lucid charts from scratch by myself. No tutorial, no training, the same way I figured out every department. Both taught myself the tool, and both became the training standard for my entire team. And then I started introducing this same approach to other departments. Most people start with tools. High performing operators start with structure. They want the software before they understand the system. But the tool is not the solution. The thinking is. You do not need to know the tool before you start. But what you need to know and what you need is to understand the problem you are solving. The tool is simple. How you communicate the solution. Department 1, talent acquisition. When I started, there were no recruitment system. None. The company was growing rapidly and we were hiring very, very fast. No structure, no process, just chaos. And so I audited the gap. We were losing candidates because follow-up was inconsistent. We had no way to track where candidates were in the pipeline. So I built it, a full candidate tracking system, which started in Smartsheet and later moved over into the Bamboo HR system. And then I hired a team, train them on the workflows, and train them to conduct interviews independently. The result? Over 1,000 people hired across multiple countries because decisions were system driven, not rushed. A recruitment machine that ran without me having to be in every single interview. And here is something most people do not know. My CEO and I were the primary interviewers for clinical roles, doctors, nurses, until the system was strong enough and the team was trained enough to take over. We built it together, then we handed it off, and that is how you scale. Department 2, content marketing. Now, this department was different. The creatives, they already existed. Designers, SEO specialists, writers, social media people, Webflow experts, they were all there. But they were siloed, disconnected, each doing their own thing with no strategy holding it together. The gap was not talent. The gap was structure. And so I brought them together and I created the department and I named the department, and we then created the workflows for the content production, approval processes, content calendars, brand standards, a system where everyone knew their role and how their piece connected to the bigger picture. SOPs, siloed creatives became a functioning department. And that's not because I am a marketing expert, because I am not. But it is because I understood that people cannot perform without structure. Department number 3. And honestly, this one is the most personal to me. The executive and administrative support. I started as the only EA in the company, just me, supporting the CEO and the executive team, doing everything. 4 months later, I was Chief EA, which meant I was now responsible not just for doing the work, but for building the function. And so we identified various team members who were already a part of the team, but maybe in a different capacity, and we promoted them to EAs. And then where there were gaps, I hired EAs, trained them, created the training guides, built the onboarding process, and then I trained them to train the next ones. A cascading model that meant the system grew without depending on me. One EA to a team of 12 EAs and 40 plus administrative staff. And the whole time I was still supporting the CEO directly, because some working relationships are built on a level of trust, anticipation, and consistency that cannot simply be reassigned. Department 4, Scheduling Operations. This one already existed, but it was not performing at the level the company needed. Patient scheduling, clinical appointments, coordinating across multiple facilities and time zones. The department already existed, and so I audited the gap, researched the function, built the skeleton, document everything, hired and trained, built it, hired the team, trained the team, and then promoted someone from within to run it. That is the goal every time. Not to be indispensable inside the department, but to build it so well that someone else can own it and you can move on to the next gap. Departments 5 and 6, Credentialing and Biologics. These were the most technical areas I stepped into. Clinical compliance, licensing requirements, biologics process. Did I have experience in either? No. Did that stop me? Also, no. Same process. Research the function, build the skeleton, document the system, train the team. And both became functioning departments with people who could run them independently. 6 for 6. Here is one more thing I want to tell you about systems thinking. At one point, I noticed, and it was also brought to my attention, that there had been a quality issue in our cold calling department. And so I was requested to join a meeting, and in that meeting I raised it with leadership. My suggestion was we need to hire a dedicated quality assurance team in the department. They did, and I was a part of that process from the recruitment phase to the hiring phase. And then something unexpected happened. Other departments saw what we had built and they started replicating the model. Quality assurance teams started appearing across multiple departments because of one idea in one meeting. And that is how systems scale. Not by doing more, but by building better. That is what strategic thinking looks like from the inside. You are not just solving the problem in front of you. You are building a solution that other people can learn from. 6 departments built and transformed from scratch. 0 prior experience. Workflows built from a blank piece of paper. A quality assurance model that scaled across multiple departments. Hiring systems that brought in over 1,000 people globally. And a seat at the executive table without the executive title. That is what I built. But that is not the full story, because building at this level is not just strategy. It is sacrifice, the pregnancy, the newborn during COVID, the degree on the side, the time zones, the bereavement, the mornings before everyone woke up, the nights after everyone signed off, the moments I showed up when showing up was the hardest thing I had ever done. None of that is in a workflow. None of that is in a job description. But it is the most important part of the story. And I have never talked about it publicly until next week. If your company is growing but your operations are breaking under pressure, this is exactly what I fix. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And tell me in the comments, have you ever been handed a problem that nobody else was fixing? I want to know. And I read every single one of the comments. Until then, I will see you in the next one.